Hey, happy Tuesday to you. How you doing out there? Welcome to Jazz After Dark. It's kind of a fun show where we just hang out and talk a little bit, not so fast paced, and kind of go through a little bit more of the details with you. Tonight we'll be enjoying Breckenridge bourbon. It's something I keep coming back to. I like it. It definitely has that Rocky Mountain vibe to it. I know we've had it before, but I hope you have yourself a drink and you're ready to hang out and learn something with me. Hmm? All right. By the way, why does it look brighter? Something is wrong, but it's okay. We're going to make it work. All right. A lot of us may not be in this position. And so I understand that, but I want to talk to people who are in the position or want to get into the position of giving their kids money, right? And this could be, giving charities money. It could be kids money. We're just going to talk about the kids tonight, but know that this goes in a bunch of different directions. We are very passionate as Americans lately about wanting to pay for our kids' college to some degree. And so they come up with this 529. Hey, give us your money and we'll invest it and all of that. But there's this struggle because you don't know when your kid's 1 year old, you see the projections and you're like, if I don't start now, I'm never going to be able to pay for it. But you don't know if they're going to go to college, right? And we deal with thousands of clients all over the country. The 66th best advisor in all of America by USA Today. You can look it up. And we didn't pay for that, by the way. that was not a paid for advertisement, although they did ask for money to give us other stuff. No, it was not. But we don't know. That's good. That's really good. We don't know whether the kids will go to college. Like I said, we deal with thousands of people all over the country. And we hear their kids growing up or, moving out of the house. Some start families, some go in the military, some start businesses, some go to college, right? So to use a 529 is not bad in any way. It's just, is that a good fit for your family? And if you're one of those families that says, no, my kid is going to go to college, try it out, see if they like it, but they're not going to have any other opportunity until they at least try it. Okay, fine. That's not wrong. It's just the way you want to do it. But a lot of families say, well, I don't know, whatever the kid wants to do. So we got the 529. The next option is using something like a custodial account. And there's some really cool rules that just recently came out about how you can move that money to Roth IRAs and stuff, but different video. So some families say, let's use a custodial account because anyone can put money in. There's not necessarily a tax benefit to putting money into it for the contributor. But if the child decides not to go to college, then the money's still available. They will not be penalized. We will not have to transfer it to another kid or whatever. They still have that money. And if they decide they're an entrepreneur and they want to go start a business, well, if, assuming everybody's okay with it, they could use that money to do that. Well, the downside there is, if they're 1 year old, you don't know if the kid's going to grow up and be a little brat or addicted to drugs, or I'm just being real, right? We don't know how that life's going to play out. We assume as parents, we're going to do a great job and they're going to grow up and be good people, but we don't know. So a lot of times people say, I'm not sure about the custodial account because in most states, when they turn 18, the parent loses full control over those dollars. You can't do anything. It is an automatic movement of that money to the child. Your name drops off, their name goes on it. And if they want to cash it all out, sell it and buy a Corvette, you can't technically stop them. So the parenting skills come into handy there, So then what happens is there's a new wave of people out there that say no to the 529, no to the custodial account, and I would like to save in like a separate brokerage account, still in their name, not the kid's name. They have full and complete control over it. But their thought is when the kid graduates college, you'll work with them through college to help get grants and scholarships or maybe loans if by chance they need to have some loans. And then once they finish, you use that money and say, well, here you go, kid, right? You did it. And I'd like to reward you on the back end instead of rewarding you and thinking you have a college fund set up for you along the way. I don't know if that's right either. I've just noticed that there's a ton of people doing that. So somewhere in the world of finance, someone made that suggestion and that's a trend that's catching on. I don't have anyone to credit. I don't know. If somebody knows, let me know in the comments because I've seen this so many times. I'm like, who said this? What's going on there? Totally crazy. So let's talk about now the more advanced side of it. Whatever you choose, you have the right to put money into those accounts. And most of the time, what we do is we think of after tax dollars, money that's in our bank account, or maybe you got a tax return or something. And you think, well, I'm gonna put it towards my kid's custodial account or college savings or whatever. Well, that's fine, but is it the most efficient way to do it? For some, yes, that there may be the only option. But there's no benefit to you. And sort of selfishly, when I do something, I think of like, how could I benefit? So for example, I'm a big contributor to Drum Corps International. If you're a fan of DCI, come on out to the shows. You'll see our logo, this exact logo, you'll see it all over the place. On finals night, doing all the interviews, we're on flow marching. It's all kinds of cool stuff and not get a benefit. Now, I enjoy the benefit of the program and I want the whole organization to succeed. But if I could get a benefit at the same time, I would like to do that too. And so I use donor advised funds and things like that to shift the money in a way where I get a break, but also I get to give the money to a cause that I believe in. Going back to your kids, if you could give your kids money and see some kind of benefit out of it, let's do that, right? So what do we have? Well, along the way, if you had decided no to the 529, no to the custodial account, maybe you have money in a brokerage account and you're saving extra money. Most people that we deal with have some variation of like a fund trading account. They got their retirement and their 401k or TSP, but they have a brokerage account and they say, well, that's just money I'm not using right now. I've done well and whatever. Okay. Whether it's a small amount or a large amount, we have to look there first. If you're going to give your kid money, we have to look there first because there's the potential for a tax benefit. So let's give an example. I'll just throw a random number out to make it even. Let's say you have $100,000 in your brokerage account. You're probably not giving your kid $100,000, right? I don't see that happen often. So I want to use real numbers for the average person, right? Well, in this brokerage account that has $100,000, you have grown it over the years. Your kids have grown. You've taken some here and there, but mostly you've been saving. Now, you'd like to give your kid $10,000. And before I do this could be a kid who's going to college. It could be a kid who is established in the world and maybe had a rough year, 28, 29, 35. They had a kid and maybe there was some issue there where they both wanted to stay home with the kid and so the income is lower. You know what I mean? There could have been some tough thing, a divorce, right? A 30-year-old gets a divorce. Any number of scenarios. So I'm not just talking about the college kids. Well, anyways, so you got this account and let's say you want to give your kid $10,000. What portion of the account do you give your kid? There's 100 in there. Do you just randomly take out 10? Do you take 10 from maybe you have savings, your emergency fund or whatever it is? How do we do that? Well, I mean, now I'm getting like a sweeter thing going on. That's a good one. I don't remember what it cost. Maybe in the $40 range, but really good. All right, so what we want to do is we want to look in the brokerage account and we want to pick and pluck out the positions that you have the greatest gain on, right? Because if you were to sell those, you'd have a capital gain. And at some point you may sell them. You say, well, Dustin, I wanted to hold those stocks. Great. Hopefully they translate into greater capital gains, which poses a problem down the road, right? Tax-wise. So we say, okay, we have identified $10,000. There are 10 stocks that I had $1,000 invested, and maybe you initially invested, a couple $100 or something. So you have this capital gain that you have to realize and pay taxes on. You being the probably older, more stable person who might have to pay a 15% flat tax if it's long-term capital gains, potentially 20 if you're more successful and have a higher income. Well, instead of giving $10,000 out of your bank account, what if we could just give them those shares, right? And let's say it has $1,000 capital gain. Okay, fine. The taxes that you would pay would either be 15 or 20%. But if that kid is single and makes under basically $100,000, they would pay no tax at all. If they are married filing jointly, I'm sorry, I said single and makes under 100. If they're single and make just about 50,000, right? All right, well, they won't pay any tax. I think it's like 49,000 or something. Well, maybe they had a bad year, right? They're a single person or they're young and don't make that kind of income. If they're married filing jointly and they make almost 100,000, they still would pay 0% tax on those positions. And this would mean that you take the $10,000 worth of positions, those 10 positions, and we put them in a brokerage account for their name. And you go, well, but they need the money. Yeah, they sell it all right away and they take the cash. What if the total tax between what you would pay and what they would pay would be lower? At the end of the day, it's like a family event here. We want the IRS to get as little of our family's money as possible. So instead of taking the $10,000 out of your bank account, which has already been taxed, probably at your income tax rate or your effective tax rate will be, right? Why don't we take it and solve a problem for you, get a win for you, and then keep the money you have in your bank account, right? Now, this doesn't have to be that you give the child the money in a brokerage account. You can give stock to their custodial account as well. The same approach tax-wise would work here, okay? It's just if they're really young, then they would actually have to file a tax return. So get some help on that one. Be choosy what you do there. So the point is, when we're trying to give a child money, no matter what their age is, let's consider first giving them an asset that has a capital gain for you and has no tax for them by realizing that capital gain. This could be a yearly thing. This could be a one-time thing. We don't know. So it's a benefit to have. Now, how do you do this? Well, if you have a brokerage account and you just buy one mutual fund, one ETF. So for example, SPY. You started this years ago and you bought the SPY. Okay, it's a little harder, but it's certainly possible. You're going to break that position in pieces and you're going to move just a couple pieces or a couple shares of that position over to them. But if you have a more diverse brokerage account that has tens of positions, maybe hundreds of positions, it depends on your style. Well, then it's much easier to say, well, I'm going to pick from this bucket over here that maybe these are tech stocks. Okay, they've all done well. Give the kid the tech stocks. And if the kid needs to sell them all off to raise the cash, great. But if they don't, they can continue from there and maybe those stocks continue to do well for them so that you're not giving them money in the future. You're giving them an asset that's growing. So it's just a different way to think about it. It's something that I've been through numerous times with clients, and there's always a different reason. Usually it's that the child is somehow in school and finding that they are doing well in school but can't work, right? School takes their time. I've had times where it's a kind of a lost adult, right? A 30-something-year-old that's, still grappling with how to handle life and finances and all of that. And that's a nice way of saying, they screwed up, right? We're being honest here. But if there's no shame in that and you can talk to your advisor about that, let them strategize with you. Because the answer may not be, oh man, just give them some money and tell them to go away. No, maybe there's a different way to go about it. So I wanted to share that with you here tonight. I hope that's helpful in some way. We are going to get back to our office trades in the morning. If you don't know, our research site, jazzwealth.com/research. It's $13 a month and all proceeds go to Drum Corps International, something that I like to support and I mentioned earlier. And we literally just trade. You get to see my entire account, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And no matter what happens, I'm showing what I'm doing so you can learn from that as well. We use a lot of options. So if options are not your thing, don't bother. You probably be upset by joining. So I'll give you that heads up. But otherwise, we'll see you there in the portal tomorrow and enjoy the rest of your night. See you.